I'm Danielle, your host of the A Bridge to Motherhood podcast, the place where moms like you learn to thrive, not just survive through pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. I'm a birth and postpartum doula and a mom of two who's been where you are. My first pregnancy was filled with so much excitement, but it was also marked by stress, anxiety, and fear of the unknown. I thought I had everything mapped out, but when postpartum hit, I realized how unprepared I was for the physical, emotional, and mental toll of motherhood. It was overwhelming, lonely, and nothing like I imagined. When I found out I was pregnant again, I knew I needed to approach things differently. I made it my mission to not only prepare for postpartum, but to prioritize myself in the process. That shift changed everything. Now I'm here to help you do the same. Whether you're navigating your first pregnancy, feeling buried under endless advice, or struggling to figure out what you actually need for postpartum, this podcast is your safe space. You'll find practical tips, honest conversations, and expert insights to help you feel informed, supported, and empowered through every stage of motherhood. If you're ready to feel confident, prepared, and truly supported in your motherhood journey, stick around. This is for you. Hey friends, welcome back to the A Bridge to Motherhood podcast. Today's episode, we're talking about one of the most important steps in preparing for postpartum, and that is assembling your postpartum team. Now, I want to make sure that I define this term postpartum for you because so many people, when they hear that term, think it means postpartum depression or postpartum anxiety, but all postpartum means is the time period after your baby is born. And technically, postpartum is for life. You wouldn't go into labor without a support system unless you are free birthing, right? And even then, I think most people would want their partner there. So whether your support person is just you and your partner or whether it is an entire team of people, we want to enter the postpartum period or the fourth trimester journey with a team. We don't want to do this alone. Whether you're a first-time mom or maybe you're looking to do things differently a second time around, having the right people in your corner can make all the difference. I'll break down exactly who should be on your team, how to find them, and what roles they'll play in helping you to thrive. It can be tough to know where to start or who to hire when there are so many options available. Many new moms feel unsupported or don't know how to ask for help, especially when it comes to finding professional postpartum care. You might be wondering what kinds of providers you should have on your team and what role each of them will play in your recovery and adjustment to motherhood. Sometimes hiring postpartum help might feel like a financial stretch, especially if you're on maternity leave or juggling other costs, but if you can start thinking about it while you are pregnant, you can start budgeting. All right, let's dive into who you might want to add to your support team. Number one, a postpartum doula, whether that is daytime or nighttime care. A postpartum doula provides the physical, emotional, and informational support you need for you and your baby during the first few weeks after birth. They can help with everything from breastfeeding support to newborn care. This gives you time to rest and take care of yourself. Many moms don't know what a postpartum doula does and skip hiring one because they think it's an unnecessary luxury. But I can tell you from my experience as one, how much my clients say it helps them transition into motherhood. And if I ever have a third baby, I will tell you, getting a postpartum doula is on my list. Especially if my husband has a short paternity leave again, I'm going to need some help getting things done around the house with two other kids around. So make sure you do your research on local postpartum doulas. Just type postpartum doulas near me into Google and ask about their services and training, how they fit into your postpartum plan. Don't be afraid to invest in someone who can really offer that peace of mind during those early days. Number two, this one is so important if you are going to be breastfeeding or pumping and your goal is to make it to a year or even 6 months, you really need to set yourself up for success and get support very early on. Whether you're breastfeeding or pumping, a lactation consultant can provide expert advice to ensure things are going smoothly. They can help you with baby having latch issues, milk supply, any concerns you might have, checking for tongue and lip ties, which makes feeding easier for both you and your baby. So many people wait until they're really struggling to reach out to a lactation consultant. I was this way. As a first-time mom, I just thought breastfeeding was natural. It's just going to work automatically. But it wasn't that way, and it's a learning curve for both you and your baby. You're learning together. So my advice is to schedule a consultation with a lactation consultant before you give birth. Many will do home visits or virtual consultations. You can take the breastfeeding class at the hospital if that's your jam, but make sure you get some education even prior to having your baby. This can be such a lifesaver when you're adjusting to new motherhood. And many hospitals will have lactation groups. There may be a local breastfeeding center where you can get free help. Just do your research prior so that you know what is available to you. And if having in-home support is important to you, do a search, see if you can find any lactation consultants in your area that will come to your home. Number 3, a pelvic floor therapist. If you do not already have one during pregnancy, this is so important after you give birth. I did not do this with my first baby, and I really wish I would have, because I did it after the second and it helped my physical recovery, and some leftover back pain and other issues really just dissipate and allowed me to feel so much better physically. A pelvic floor therapist can help you recover physically after childbirth, addressing issues like pelvic pain, incontinence, and core strength. This type of therapy is often overlooked, but it's crucial for your physical recovery. Many insurance companies cover pelvic floor therapy, and you can get a referral from your PCP or your OBGYN. If not, oftentimes if you have an HSA or FSA, you can use your funds for pelvic floor therapy as well. Many women do not seek pelvic floor therapy until they have a problem like constantly peeing while they sneeze or not being able to run or jump without peeing. But even if you feel fine postpartum, your body has gone through a whole lot and it can benefit from this specialized care. I would recommend booking a session with your pelvic floor therapist after your 6-week postpartum checkup, or even earlier if you're feeling some severe discomfort. Prevention and early intervention can really help save you from some of those more long-term issues. Number 4, a therapist or counselor for mental health support. If you do not have one already, do some research prior to having your baby or immediately after so you know of a professional that's local to you if you end up needing that support. If you are struggling, the last thing you want to be doing is trying to figure out who to go to. If you have taken the time to prepare yourself early on, if you end up struggling, you will already know who to contact. And I really recommend making sure that you search for a therapist that specializes in perinatal mental health, because it's just such a specialized area of care. Mental health support is just as important as the physical support, and unfortunately, postpartum anxiety and depression are on the rise. So having a therapist on your team can really help you navigate these challenges and provide strategies for managing emotions. And you do not need to have really severe anxiety or depression to benefit from counseling. We really can all benefit from speaking to someone and working on coping strategies as we become mothers. I don't want you to think that it's a sign of weakness to ask for mental health support or think it's only necessary if you're really, really struggling. Make mental health a priority by reaching out to a therapist before you give birth. Many therapists specialize in perinatal mental health, like I said, and can provide invaluable support during that postpartum period. Okay, number 5. This may seem out of reach for a lot of people, but hiring some household help, whether that is someone to come in and cook meals for you or deliver meals, to have cleaning done for you. Maybe it's just your bathrooms. That's something that we did after our first baby was born and I was getting ready to go back to work. Just having my bathrooms cleaned made a huge difference. Your recovery after childbirth can be so physically and emotionally demanding, and having someone help with those household chores can be a game changer. And this, again, doesn't necessarily have to be someone you hire out and pay money for. Maybe it's a friend or family member who's just willing to come and help you out for a little bit. If someone offers to bring over a meal, say, absolutely yes, I would love that. This allows you to focus on resting and bonding with your baby. Do not feel like you need to do everything yourself or only rely on family and friends for help. If you need to take that step out and hire someone, even if it's for a short period of time, it can really help prevent you from burning out and resentment between you and your partner. Let's review those 5 members that you might want to add to your team. So number 1 is a postpartum doula. Go ahead and research ones in your area to help you navigate the first few weeks, to give you that support, rest, and advice as you become a new mom. Number 2, reach out to a lactation consultant to help support you throughout your breastfeeding or pumping journey. They are a wealth of knowledge, whether that is someone from the hospital, joining a breastfeeding support group, or hiring an independent lactation consultant to come to your home. Do not be afraid to reach out for help. It really is a process to get that breastfeeding journey down. Number 3, book an appointment with a pelvic floor therapist for a postpartum checkup and a recovery plan. Number 4, reach out to a therapist or a counselor for mental health support and prioritize your emotional well-being. And number 5, invest in some household help, whether that's hiring a cleaner or arranging a meal train to take some of that pressure off you. Say yes to those friends and family members who want to drop off a meal or who are willing to come and do your dishes while you bond with that baby. Now that you have a better idea of who to include on your postpartum team, it's time to start building it. I hope you're feeling more confident about the support you'll have around you so you can enjoy the early days of motherhood without being overwhelmed. If you want to dive a little deeper into this topic of preparing a postpartum support team, my New Mom Survival Guide, Preparing for Life with a Newborn, is a completely free resource to you. And in this podcast, I just spoke about 5 members of the team that I recommend you look into. But in that guide, there are even more specialists that maybe you might not need right now, but down the road, you might want to look into. And you'll also find ways to prepare yourself, your space, your mind, your body, prepare for sleep with your new baby, all of those things and more in that free resource. You can go to the show notes or go to abridgetomotherhood.com/newmom. Thanks again for hanging out with me today, and I really hope that this helped you think more about prioritizing yourself as you embark into your motherhood journey. Thanks so much for tuning in to the A Bridge to Motherhood podcast. I'm so glad you were here today. If you loved this episode, I'd be so grateful if you could leave a review for the podcast on whatever platform you're listening on. Share it with a friend or snap a screenshot and tag me on social media. If you decide to leave me a review, go to abridgetomotherhood.com/review. That link is also in the show notes so that I can send you a little gift in the mail. Your support helps other moms to find the podcast, and it truly means the world to me. Remember, your motherhood journey deserves your care and attention. Until next time, keep showing up for yourself, mama, and don't worry, I'm here to help every step of the way. See you soon.